Welcome to Tech Disruptions, deep dives into the technologies reshaping industries, from AI to quantum to biotech. Let's get into it. We constantly hear that AI copilots are here to make us faster, more efficient, even smarter. The narrative is always about augmentation, about having a super assistant at our fingertips.
But what if that glossy promise of supercharged productivity comes with a hidden cost, a cognitive price tag we're barely beginning to understand, where the very tools designed to boost our brains might subtly be making us less capable?
You're talking about the idea that by outsourcing our thinking, we're not just offloading tasks, but potentially eroding our own core mental abilities. That's a pretty counterintuitive claim when everyone is rushing to adopt these systems.
Exactly. The initial allure is undeniable. Instant summaries, code generation, draft emails. But the research points to a phenomenon often called cognitive offloading. And it's not just about forgetting where you parked because of GPS. It's about fundamental shifts in how our brains process information and build expertise.
So it's not just about convenience, it's about a deeper impact on our cognitive architecture. The common perception is that these tools free us up for higher-level thinking, right? We offload the mundane, and our brains soar to new creative heights. Is that just wishful thinking?
That's the ideal scenario, and it's certainly what many developers aim for. However, the reality, as observed in studies, often diverges. When AI performs a task that previously required mental effort, the brain reallocates its resources. The use it or lose it principle applies to cognitive functions just as it does to physical muscles. If you consistently rely on a copilot to structure an argument, over time, your own ability to spontaneously generate and structure complex arguments might diminish.
So it's not just that we're forgetting how to do arithmetic because of calculators, it's that we might be losing the skill of critical analysis or complex problem solving because the AI is doing the heavy lifting there.
Precisely. Think about a GPS. It's incredibly useful for navigating unfamiliar routes. But if you rely on it exclusively, you might never develop a mental map of your city. You don't learn the landmarks, the shortcuts, the underlying logic of the road network. When the GPS fails, you're truly lost. With AI copilots, it's a similar dynamic for cognitive tasks. The underlying mental map for a skill might not be built or reinforced if the AI consistently provides the solution.
And this isn't just about simple tasks. These copilots are often used for things like code generation, legal drafting, or even medical diagnostics. These are areas where judgment, nuance, and deep understanding are paramount.
Absolutely. The concern isn't just about simple recall, but about higher-order cognitive processes like critical thinking, problem decomposition, creative synthesis, and even what's called tacit knowledge. Tacit knowledge is that intuitive understanding, the gut feeling an expert develops after years of experience, the ability to see patterns and connections that aren't explicitly taught. It's built through repeated engagement with complex problems, making mistakes, and learning from them. When an AI offers a ready-made solution, that opportunity for building tacit knowledge is bypassed.
So the aha moment, the struggle to piece together a complex solution that truly solidifies understanding, that gets short-circuited. We get the answer, but not the process of arriving at it.
Exactly. And without that process, we don't develop the deep understanding that allows us to adapt, to challenge assumptions, or to innovate beyond the scope of what the AI was trained on. It can lead to a kind of solution-seeking behavior, rather than genuine problem-solving. Users become adept at prompting the AI to get an answer, but less skilled at discerning if it's the best answer or even a correct one without independent verification.
This brings up the idea of the black box problem. If the AI delivers a solution, and we don't fully understand how it arrived there, we're essentially trusting an opaque system. That seems particularly dangerous in fields like medicine or engineering.
It's a critical point. The cognitive burden shifts. Instead of actively generating the solution, the human's role becomes one of verifying the AI's output. While this might seem like a simpler task on the surface, it's a different kind of cognitive load, and potentially a more insidious one. It requires a level of vigilance and skepticism that can be difficult to maintain, especially when the AI is usually correct. It also requires the human to still possess enough underlying knowledge to effectively audit the AI's work. If that underlying knowledge erodes, the ability to verify effectively goes with it.
So we move from being proactive problem solvers to reactive auditors. And if our auditing skills atrophy alongside our problem-solving skills, we're in a double bind. We need the AI because we've lost the skill, but we can't properly use the AI because we've lost the skill to verify it.
That's the potential trap. Consider a programmer using an AI copilot. They might become incredibly fast at generating boilerplate code or implementing standard algorithms. But if they rely on the AI for complex architectural decisions or debugging subtle interactions, they might never develop the deep, intuitive understanding of system design or the intricate detective work involved in tracking down obscure bugs. Their muscle for independent design and deep troubleshooting could weaken.
This isn't just about individual users, though. What are the broader implications for organizations, for institutional knowledge, and for innovation? If a whole generation of professionals relies heavily on copilots, what happens to the collective expertise of a field?
That's a profound question. If individuals aren't building robust cognitive schema, then the collective pool of innovation and truly novel problem-solving might stagnate. Breakthroughs often come from challenging established patterns, from thinking outside the box, something AI, by its very nature, is less prone to do, as it largely operates within the patterns it was trained on. There's a risk of what some researchers call cognitive homogenization, where solutions become more uniform, less diverse, and potentially less creative.
So instead of diverse, innovative solutions emerging from human ingenuity, we might see a convergence towards AI-preferred, often statistically common solutions.
Exactly. And this isn't to say AI copilots are inherently bad. They offer immense potential for efficiency and democratizing access to certain capabilities. The challenge lies in how they are designed and, crucially, how they are used. The key is to see them as tools for augmentation, in the truest sense, expanding human capabilities, rather than just tools for automation that replace cognitive effort.
So what does a more responsible or effective use look like? How do we leverage the power of these tools without falling into this cognitive atrophy trap?
The research suggests several strategies. One is active learning. Instead of simply accepting the AI's output, users should be encouraged to critically analyze it, understand the underlying principles, and even try to reproduce elements of the solution themselves. It's about using the AI as a tutor or a sparring partner rather than just an answer machine.
Another is selective outsourcing, recognizing which tasks are beneficial to offload and which are crucial for maintaining and developing core skills. For critical decision-making or novel problem-solving, active human engagement remains paramount. So it's about developing a kind of cognitive hygiene for AI use, being deliberate about when and how we let the AI take the wheel and when we need to drive ourselves.
Precisely. It also points to the need for better AI design. Can copilots be built not just for efficiency, but also to promote learning and skill development in the user? Can they offer explanations of their reasoning or suggest alternative approaches rather than just providing a singular answer? The goal shouldn't be to make humans obsolete, but to elevate human capabilities in a way that is sustainable and doesn't undermine our intrinsic cognitive strengths.
This really reframes the conversation around AI tools from simple productivity gains to a more complex interplay with human cognition and long-term skill development. It's not just about speed, it's about intellectual endurance.
The hidden costs are precisely that, hidden. They accumulate subtly over time and might not be apparent until a critical situation arises where deep, independent human expertise is suddenly indispensable, and that expertise has perhaps atrophied.
So to summarize, first, the promise of AI copilots for pure augmentation is often misleading. They can lead to cognitive offloading and atrophy of core skills. Second, this isn't just about simple tasks, but higher-order thinking like critical analysis, problem decomposition, and the development of tacit knowledge. Third, the human role often shifts from proactive problem-solving to reactive verification, which carries its own insidious cognitive load and requires underlying expertise that itself might be eroding.
And finally, a truly beneficial integration of AI requires intentional strategies like active learning and selective outsourcing. We need both users and AI designers to consider cognitive impact, not just efficiency.
That leaves us with a couple of significant questions. How do we design and implement AI systems that genuinely augment human intelligence and foster skill development rather than subtly replacing or eroding it? And what is the ethical responsibility of individuals and organizations to actively guard against the potential de-skilling of their workforce in an increasingly AI-driven world? That's all for this episode of Tech Disruptions. Join us next time as we keep exploring the technologies reshaping our world. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Stay curious out there.